All right, there's several different ways to roll a slab out of clay, a flat piece of clay. And I'm going to show you the slab roller first, which is, I don't know, they're all wonderful ways. This is a nice, efficient way to make slabs that are the same thickness. Of course, sometimes during the class, everybody's using the slab roller, so it gets a little bit busy. So I'm going to use some clay I just pulled out of the bin, but all this rough stuff, all the rips, if I take a piece of clay and stick it back together, any air pockets I have in there are going to cause me some trouble in my slab. They're going to turn out as little gaps, little cracks, or pockets in my slab. So it's a good idea to wedge your clay. You can wedge it over at the wedging table, so it's not so loud as this table here. And then when you go to start with your slab, you don't want to start with it this high. So our slab roller can't really handle taking a big lump of clay down to flat. And so you've got to make it a little bit thinner. I usually just use the back end of my hand, but if that hurts, you can use a rolling pin, and you can kind of quickly get it into shape. Now, why do we clean our rolling pins after we're done with them? Because little bits of clay that are stuck to the rolling pin are going to get into somebody else's clay if you don't. Alright, so slab roller. A slab roller, you should always have two pieces of canvas. There used to be two thick pieces of canvas. We've got the one on the bottom, and then the top one, kind of whatever you've got is fine, or whatever you can get out of the canvas cupboard. Take a look, or I don't know, can they see this piece here? So this piece has a texture to it. If you forget your top canvas, you are going to spend the next 30 minutes cleaning this thing. It's a huge pain in the butt to clean. So don't forget your canvas. We need canvas underneath, and we need canvas over the top like this. When the slab roller starts, or when it pushes, it's going to push in one direction. So if you've got a long narrow piece like that, and you put it in the slab roller that way, it's going to get long and narrow. So if you've got, either start with a kind of evenly shaped thing or start with an oblong that's a little wider. I'm going to put my canvas over the top, and then I want to draw your attention to this gauge here. So this is theoretically centimeters. I wouldn't trust it absolutely to be centimeters, but I start it close to the 2. You can change the height with these rollers here. I started close to the 2. It's good to start the roller with a little bit more space, and then we can work our way down. And I'll show you what that looks like. So I've got the canvas over the top. I'm going to push my clay until it kind of starts to touch that thing. And then I'm going to use this roller to roll this clay through. And you can see as it rolls through, it squishes the clay. And if I open this up, you can see that my clay has become flattened. I wouldn't do a lot of picking it up. I'm just showing it for the video. So it's flattened, it became longer. I'm going to turn it around that way so that I get more of a square piece to end up with. Now this is a little bit thicker than my thumb. This is really too thick. You shouldn't be using this thick of slabs for really anything besides building a bust, which you're not doing here. So slabs need to be thinner. We're going to work our way down to an appropriate thickness. So I'm going to reset my cover canvas. If you come over here and somebody else has been working on canvas for a long time and the canvas is getting wet, that's a good time to swap out canvases. We've got plenty of them. And if clay starts to stick, we need to get a rib and we need to scrape that off of there. So I'm going to crank this down a bit, close to 1.5. I'm going to roll this back through and roll it back again. It's a good idea not to stop mid-roll. It's just, it can kind of set down and leave you kind of a hole or a weak spot in the middle of the piece. And then you see I keep rolling it back this way to work. Just a little bit more space to work over here. So now I've got my slab of clay is getting a lot wider, or fairly wider. It is also a little bit thinner. It's still probably close to about 1/2 inch, so I'm going to keep bringing it down. I'm going to make it a bit thinner yet. We want about 1/4 inch, depending though on what you're making. So if you're making something really huge, really big, you want a little bit more thickness in your slab so that you have more clay to hold up the pieces. If you're making something really thin and delicate, or small and delicate, you want to make it fairly thin. So I usually recommend start at about a 1/4 of an inch or so. So up here on the top, I ended up with a crack, and that's because when I was pushing this canvas through, I let it wrinkle. I let it bend a little bit like that. So I wouldn't recommend doing that, but you know, if you do, it'll be all right. Or I mean, if you do, that'll be a weak spot, but depending what you're making, you may be able to deal with it. I also want to show you one more thing here. So I'm going to flip my piece of clay. I'm going to hold it with the whole length of my hand. I don't want to kind of grab it at the edges or it's going to start to rip on me. But I'm going to add some texture. Naturally, when you roll a slab, you end up with canvas texture. And I am not going to allow you to use canvas texture. Canvas texture basically just shows that you haven't thought about what texture you're using. So you've got a couple of options. One is that you use rib and you smooth the surface. But another is you can roll some texture onto here with a slab roller. Now, of course, I could paddle this in. I could just grab a paddle and give myself some texture, and it shows up fairly well. But the slab roller is a nice slick way to quickly get some texture rolled into there. I'm not going to reduce the height anymore because by adding that material, I've reduced the height. Right, I've added stuff to it, so it's going to press in there. So I'm going to roll this through. Roll it back and hopefully not wrinkle anything this time. And then when I take it off of here, you can see I've got quite a bit of visible texture that shows up in my slab. Now I like to work, obviously I don't want to work here at the slab roller on my pieces because other people might need to use it. So what I normally do is I put either a piece of canvas or some paper on my board, and I've forgotten paper now, but it'll be all right. Add some paper, I recommend. And then I'm going to put my board on there, and then I'm actually going to flip these two together, like that, and now I've got a portable piece of slab that I can go work with somewhere else. I've bent it over here because my board's not quite big enough. But this is a piece that I'm going to be able to work with at another spot and let somebody else use the slab roller. Thanks.